Hello, Gemini. I'm so glad you're here. Today's message isn't wrapped in mystery or drenched in cosmic drama. It's quiet, clear, and meant just for you. There is something you've done recently, or something you're about to do that will change everything for someone close to you. Not because you're trying to, not because you planned it, but because your truth is finally rising to the surface. And when you stop shrinking yourself to fit into expectations, your presence alone becomes enough to shift the world around you. You carry a quiet, catalytic energy, Gemini. It's not loud or showy, and it doesn't demand attention, but it's deeply transformative. And the moment you allow yourself to show up without the mask, without the need to explain or entertain, something profound begins to stir in others. You remind people of who they used to be before they started doubting themselves. You remind them that authenticity is possible, and that alone has the power to awaken what's been sleeping in them for far too long. So let's begin. Let's talk about what happens when you choose to be fully, bravely yourself, and what it unlocks not just for you, but for someone who didn't even realize how much they needed your truth. There's someone in your orbit right now, Gemini, someone who has never truly seen you. Maybe they underestimated you, kept their distance, labeled your lightness as flighty or your depth as too much. Maybe they've watched you from the edge of their own guardedness, not realizing that what they were witnessing wasn't chaos, but courage. But something is about to shift. And it won't come from a confrontation or a dramatic unveiling. It will come from a small, sincere act, something only you could do, because it comes from your truth. And that act will become the key that unlocks a part of them they've long forgotten how to reach. This person has been moving through life behind walls built from fear, disappointment, and the quiet belief that playing it safe is the only way to survive. But when they witness you doing something brave without seeking applause, when they feel the ripple of your authenticity touching the edges of their comfort zone, they won't be able to go back to sleep. They'll begin to feel something stir inside them, a quiet rebellion against the version of themselves they've settled into. Because what you'll mirror back to them, Gemini, is not who they are right now, but who they have the potential to become. And this isn't a fleeting inspiration, not the kind that disappears after a nice conversation or a pretty quote. This is soul-deep transformation. It's the kind of awakening that changes how someone sees themselves at the core. Your authenticity will echo in them long after the moment passes. It will wake up the dreams they buried under logic and responsibility. It will call forward the version of themselves they thought they had to leave behind to be accepted. And they will remember what it feels like to want more. Not from the world, but from their own spirit. You're not doing this to fix them, Gemini. You're just living your truth. But in doing so, you become the invitation they didn't know they were waiting for, the proof that it's safe to change, to grow, to be real. And that may be the most powerful thing you ever give them. Gemini, you were never meant to save anyone. That was never your job. You don't need to carry the weight of fixing what's broken in others, nor do you need to sacrifice your freedom to prove your worth. The truth is far simpler and far more powerful. All you have to do is live as you are, fully, honestly, bravely. That alone creates ripples. That alone shifts the air in the room. When you walk in truth, you give silent permission for others to do the same. And that's where real change begins, not from control or advice or effort, but from presence. You might not always realize it, but people are watching you, not to judge, not to criticize, but to understand what's possible. They see how you navigate contradiction, how you hold joy and uncertainty at the same time, how you remain curious even in the face of disappointment. And when you choose not to hide, when you stand in your duality, your complexity, your vibrant truth, they begin to remember what it looks like to be whole. You become a kind of lighthouse, not loud or demanding, just steady. You shine without chasing. And those who've been lost in their own fog will start to find their way back, not because you told them how, but because you showed them it could be done. That one person whose heart shifts because of your authenticity, they won't be the only one. Their awakening will start something. They'll speak differently. They'll show up differently. And that new way of being, will echo in the lives they touch. You might never see the full extent of your impact, Gemini. You might never know how far your truth travels, but rest assured, it will travel. Because when one person dares to live honestly, it becomes contagious. And you, with your ever-changing, ever-learning, ever-becoming spirit, you are a natural spark for that kind of movement. So no, you don't have to save them. You just have to be yourself. And in doing so, you become a living reminder that it's safe to be seen. That it's not only possible, but beautiful, to live without shrinking. And from that one brave choice, a whole web of transformation begins. Quiet, lasting, real. Gemini, I need you to hear this clearly. You don't have to try to be special. You already are. Not because of how many people notice you. Not because of how much you achieve or how perfectly you perform, but because you exist in a way that is unrepeatable. Your thoughts, your contradictions, your longing for truth wrapped in curiosity. These are not flaws. They are sacred fingerprints of your uniqueness. And the moment you stop trying to mold yourself into something more palatable or impressive is the moment you begin to access the real power you've always carried. Your strength isn't found in the spotlight. It's found in the moments when you choose to be real, even when it's uncomfortable. When you let go of the need to be everything for everyone and start being everything for yourself. When you stop performing and start living. Because that's what people feel from you, Gemini. Not perfection, but presence. Not control, but honesty. You don't need a script to follow. Your heart is the message. Your being is the signal. And this is where your impact truly begins to unfold. When you choose to live big, not big in volume, but big in truth, big in alignment, you become a mirror for others, a quiet revolution. You remind them that they don't have to shrink to be loved, that they don't have to erase their edges to belong. Your life becomes a reflection of what's possible when someone finally says yes to their own soul. And that, Gemini, is far more powerful than any form of recognition the outside world could ever offer. So if you're wondering whether you're doing enough, being enough, becoming enough, pause, you already are. The question now is simply, are you ready to believe it? Because when you do, when you walk in that quiet confidence that comes from knowing your worth is inherent, you won't just feel different, you'll make others feel possible. That is your true gift. Not to shine so others can look, but to live so others can rise. And that is how your light will last far beyond the moment. There is another layer to your presence, Gemini 1, that often goes unnoticed even by you. Yet it is no less powerful than your ability to inspire or awaken. It is your gift for quietly tending to the unseen spaces. You don't just ignite transformation, you soothe the soul through the chaos of becoming. You are the gentle air that whispers, you don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. While others shake the earth with fire and declarations, your power comes through in subtler, more profound ways, in how you hold space for uncertainty, in how you allow contradictions to coexist without needing to resolve them, in how you remind people that they are allowed to evolve without shame. You have a way of healing that isn't loud, but lasting. You bring clarity not by forcing answers, but by asking the kind of questions that pierce through the surface and touch something essential. You notice the unsaid. You recognize the ache behind someone's laughter. You sense when someone is pretending to be okay, just to keep the peace. And rather than confronting it head-on, you offer something rare, a safe space to be real. Your presence alone tells people that they don't need to perform, that they can set down the masks and still be held. This is part of your quiet leadership, Gemini. You restore softness in places that have grown hard. You bring breath back to places that have forgotten how to breathe. And you do it all without trying to fix anyone. You simply show up as yourself, curious, open, tender, real, and in doing so, you give others permission to reconnect with the parts of themselves they've tucked away. This isn't about being the center of attention or the loudest voice in the room. This is about being the one who, without needing to prove anything, makes others feel like they belong, like they are enough, like they are allowed to want more. So if you've ever doubted whether your presence makes a difference, let this be your reminder. You are not only a spark of inspiration, you are also a vessel of healing. You're the moment of stillness in someone's storm. You're the one who reminds them, softly but powerfully, that it is not only okay to grow, but necessary. You don't just wake people up, you help them come home to themselves. And that, Gemini, is a legacy far deeper than recognition. That is soul work, that is your magic. So here we are, Gemini, at the quiet close of this message, but not at the end of your journey. In fact, something is just beginning, something subtle, yet seismic. Because you've felt it, haven't you? That gentle pull beneath the surface of your life. That sense that the way you've been moving through the world half-guarded, half-glowing is no longer enough. There's a deeper truth rising within you now, not to be performed, not to be polished, but to be lived. Fully, honestly, without apology. You don't have to know exactly what's coming next. You don't need a roadmap. What matters most is that you choose to stay present with yourself. That you stop editing your light to make others more comfortable. That you stop waiting for the perfect moment to be seen, and instead allow yourself to be seen now, imperfect, whole, changing. Because this is your gift to the world, Gemini. Not perfection, but presence. Not certainty, but curiosity. You are the reminder that it's okay to live in the in-between, that growth can be playful, that healing doesn't always look like stillness. It can look like motion, laughter, contradiction. You show us that we can hold many truths at once and still be real. And somewhere, whether you know it or not, someone is watching. Someone is learning from the way you carry yourself through change. Someone is beginning to believe, because of you, that it's safe to come alive again. So let yourself be that living proof. Let your choices, your words, your quiet courage become the soft light that others navigate by. And know that even when you feel like you're moving through your own shadows, your light is still reaching people. It always has. Take a breath, Gemini. This chapter is calling for a braver, bolder version of your truth. Not louder, just freer. And when you answer, when you let yourself become, you will not only transform your own life, you'll become the spark that awakens countless others. You were never meant to stay hidden. You were meant to move, to connect, to reveal. And now it's time,